If chariots were indeed found in the Red Sea, they are likely connected to the crossing of those very waters. They say the sea keeps its secrets, but what if one of those secrets is about to surface? Not long ago, an elite team of divers ventured into those depths. They were not after treasure or recognition, but rather the pursuit of a mystery nearly 3,000 years old. Their mission was not guided by myths of sunken cities or pirate legends, but by the very pages of the book of Exodus. The story is familiar: Moses, the parted sea, and Pharaoh's army swallowed by the waters. For centuries, this has been considered a myth, an allegory, a dramatic tale with no physical proof. But what if that is about to change? What these divers discovered beneath the waves may be more than coral and sediment. It could be the remnants of an ancient battlefield, a miracle frozen in time beneath the sea. And if this is proven to be authentic, it could shake the foundations of science, faith, and history alike. This was no ordinary dive. It was a journey into mystery, into scripture, and towards the very threshold of the impossible. The secret diving mission. It began in silence. No media, no announcements in scientific journals, no press releases. In the final weeks of 2024, in a remote zone near the shores of Nuweiba on the Gulf of Aqaba, a group of divers entered the water at dawn. But these were no ordinary divers. Among them were former Navy SEALs, marine engineers, and underwater archaeology consultants. The mission was planned with military precision. Its objective: to confirm or debunk one of the most debated events in the history of humanity. They were equipped with cutting-edge technology, ultra-high-resolution sonar imaging, deep-water exploration drones powered by artificial intelligence, and multispectral sediment scanners, each calibrated to scan and map the seabed with a level of detail never before achieved. They were not merely searching for shapes, but for patterns, irregularities, and the possible traces of a submerged conflict. But the road to this mission was far from smooth. Even before entering the water, the expedition encountered intense opposition. Several governments issued strong warnings, citing safety concerns, legal barriers, and the need to preserve cultural heritage. Academic institutions dismissed the project outright, branding it as pseudoscience. According to various reports, officials from Egypt and Israel warned the team to abandon their plans, invoking diplomatic tensions. And yet, something drove them forward. That force was a mixture of faith and funding. Behind the scenes, a group of wealthy private investors stepped in. These were not traditional sponsors. They were individuals motivated not by academic prestige, but by a spiritual calling. And so, the expedition was born, quietly, discreetly, away from the public eye. But rumors, like bubbles, always find their way to the surface. As soon as a leaked photo showed the team assembling submersibles adorned with mysterious Hebrew inscriptions, the internet caught fire. Back to the place where Pharaoh fell. One headline read, "Within days, the phrase had gone viral." Discussions erupted across digital forums, prophecy websites, and YouTube conspiracy channels. Was someone about to prove that the book of Exodus was more than symbolic narrative? The world didn't know it yet, but something had begun to stir in the deep. Exodus and the biblical mystery. To truly understand the magnitude of what might have been discovered, we must not only return to the year 2024, but to the very edge of ancient history, to the Exodus, that defining moment when Moses, armed with nothing more than a shepherd's staff and a divine command, led an entire people out of Egypt's grasp. According to the Hebrew Bible, The Israelites escaped slavery by crossing the wilderness until they reached the shores of the Red Sea. Trapped between the sea and the approaching army of Pharaoh, they had no escape. But then, according to the sacred text, the waters parted, and the children of Israel walked through the sea on dry ground. Exodus 14:21-22. And as Pharaoh's chariots charged in behind them, the sea closed once more. It is a foundational episode for three of the world's great religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. A moment of divine intervention, of liberation, of justice. But for generations, skeptics have asked, where is the evidence? Archaeologists have scoured the Sinai Peninsula without finding Israelite encampments, utensils, or, most significantly, chariot remains. Some scholars have even suggested that Red Sea was a mistranslation, proposing instead a shallow marsh known as the Sea of Reeds. Others placed the crossing in the Gulf of Suez. Yet none of these theories seemed to match the scale of the miraculous event described in the Bible. Then, a different theory emerged. One not from academic halls, but from explorers, biblical scholars, and cartographic analysts. It focused on the Gulf of Aqaba, near modern-day Nuweiba. What they uncovered was startling. An underwater land bridge between the coasts of Egypt and Arabia, wide, even, and stable enough to allow a multitude of people, men, women, children, and livestock, to cross. And it remains submerged, possibly still holding the remains of ancient warriors beneath the waves. Could this be the actual location of the crossing? Was the miracle more than just a symbolic tale? For years, this hypothesis had been ignored, mocked even by the mainstream. But suddenly, it found new life. In 2024, a group of divers, equipped with technology that previous generations could scarcely imagine, ventured directly toward the coordinates that had long been whispered about in sacred and speculative circles, coordinates believed to conceal a secret buried beneath the sea for over 3,000 years. Ron Wyatt, the controversial pioneer. Long before sonar scanners and AI-powered underwater drones, there was a man with a Bible, a compass, and unshakable faith. His name was Ron Wyatt. He wasn't a formally trained archaeologist. He was an anesthetist from Tennessee, a quiet man whose conviction drove him to explore deserts and seas across the Middle East. To many in the academic world, he was dismissed as an eccentric amateur, a modern-day relic hunter chasing biblical legends. But to others, he was a genuine pioneer, a man who dared to take the scriptures at face value and follow them, no matter where they led. In 1978, Wyatt made his first dive into the Red Sea. What he claimed to have discovered beneath the waters would ignite both fervor and fierce debate. He spoke of coral-encrusted structures, formations with an oddly deliberate symmetry. Not one, but several chariot wheels. 4-spoked, 6-spoked, even 8-spoked wheels preserved in coral, yet unmistakably recognizable in outline. He claimed to have seen axles, human bones, the remains of horses, an ancient battlefield frozen in time by salt and sea. There were no peer-reviewed papers, no academic endorsements, only grainy underwater footage, handwritten notes, blurry photographs, and passionate testimonies. Skeptics scoffed. Authorities refused permits to extract anything that might serve as evidence. Archaeologists warned that coral can mimic almost any shape, especially in the eyes of someone already convinced. Yet, the story refused to die. For every critic, 10 more were moved by it. Wyatt's accounts began to circulate among religious circles, prophecy books, and spiritual documentaries. To many, he was more than just a man. He was an instrument, a witness, a voice calling out from the depths. Over the years, others followed in his footsteps: independent researchers, pastors, divers with GoPro cameras and prayer journals in hand. And each time someone descended into the Gulf of Aqaba, they came back with more questions and a renewed sense of wonder. Maybe Wyatt hadn't discovered everything, but perhaps, just perhaps, he had found something. A mystery buried beneath coral. So why weren't Wyatt's findings recovered? Why aren't they on display in museums? Where is the tangible proof? According to Wyatt, the explanation was both scientific and spiritual. First, the coral. The Red Sea is a vibrant, living ecosystem. Over time, coral grows over submerged objects, encasing and preserving their shape, but not their substance. What remains is a shell, similar in texture to limestone. If touched or removed, it disintegrates. Imagine the ghostly silhouette of a perfectly intact wheel, visible only because no one has disturbed it. Second, the law. Egypt's Department of Antiquities is renowned for its strict regulations. Removing artifacts, even suspected ones, from underwater sites is illegal without solid proof and extensive permits. Wyatt claimed that he was denied such authorization on more than one occasion. Third, the golden wheel. In one of the most controversial parts of his testimony, Wyatt claimed to have seen a wheel with a golden hue, bright and brilliant, standing upright on the seabed. He said he reported it to the authorities, who allegedly seized the object. And after that, nothing. No photos, no official report, no confirmation, only silence. Critics called it a conveniently fabricated tale. Believers saw it as a tragic cover-up. Was it real? Was it a hoax? Or was it something else entirely? One thing is certain. Wyatt ignited a flame that has never been extinguished. For decades, his dives were discussed in church basements and Bible study groups. Have you heard about the chariot wheels in the Red Sea? What if they're real? Now, after all these years, a new team of divers has returned, this time armed with technologies Ron Wyatt could have only dreamed of. What they found could finally vindicate, or irreversibly complicate, Wyatt's legacy. The discovery of our time. The dive team of 2024 didn't quite expect what they were about to witness, not completely. At first, the seabed appeared unremarkable. The sonar swept across a smooth surface dotted with scattered rock formations and quiet coral gardens. But then, something emerged, not on the surface, but in the patterns. Symmetry, repetition, geometry, in places where none should exist. Rough circular structures, placed with regularity. Connector-like formations resembling axles between coral-covered masses. As the drones moved forward, these shapes appeared more frequently, more consistently. And then, something unexpected happened. A glimmer. Just beneath a thin layer of sediment, a golden flash caught the light. Metallic, subtle, possibly corroded but undeniably different from the dull tones of the ocean floor. Divers descended as the cameras rolled. What they recorded sent shivers through the control room. Fragments of chariots, splintered wooden spokes, worn away for centuries yet now outlined in coral. Corroded fittings that once resembled bronze, human femurs, fossilized horse jaws, all wrapped in silent marine growth. But what struck them most wasn't the debris. It was the configuration, the bodies, the wreckage. Nothing appeared random. It was as if chaos had been frozen mid-motion. An entire line of soldiers, horses and wheels lifted, jolted, and collapsed in a single charge. One diver described it as an underwater tomb. Another said it was a war cemetery paused in time. The footage revealed remnants aligned in the same direction, as if everyone was either fleeing or charging toward something. Some fragments showed signs of a brutal impact: broken axles, shattered spokes, twisted skeletons. Was this the site of a battle forgotten by history, or the collapse of an army swallowed by divine force? Scientists remain skeptical, but shapes do not lie. The location matches the scriptures, and the discovery speaks volumes without uttering a single word. Public outrage, swift suppression. The footage didn't stay hidden for long. Weeks after the dive, fragments began seeping onto the internet. Grainy clips of coral-encrusted wheels, frozen shots from underwater cameras, whispers of excitement and disbelief. First, it appeared in prophecy forums, then on TikTok, and soon after on YouTube, and then it exploded. The internet went ablaze. Millions viewed the content. Comments were flooded with verses from Exodus. Theories spread like wildfire across every continent. Was this the long-awaited proof? Had the Red Sea finally yielded its dead? One user wrote, "This is not just archaeology, it's a judgment preserved in stone." Media outlets sprang to life. Some reported with caution, labeling it a possible archaeological anomaly. Others derided it. Late-night hosts cracked jokes. Greg Gutfeld quipped, "I want my money back for my history textbook." Then the videos began to disappear. Clips removed, accounts suspended, entire forums wiped overnight. Censorship, copyright claims, national security. To many, it was plain. Someone didn't want this revealed. Theories multiplied. Academic elite cover-up. Information blackout by secular governments. Or panic over an unignorable revelation. Ironically, the suppression only intensified the impact. People rediscovered Ron Wyatt's original dives. His grainy footage was re-examined with fresh eyes. Debates ignited at universities. Academics who once ridiculed the claims suddenly found themselves forced to reconsider. Reluctantly, but undeniably so. The domino effect became unstoppable. Religious communities rekindled with passion. Pastors preached Exodus with renewed fervor. Documentaries were greenlit. This was no longer just history. It was a revelation. Look beyond the Red Sea. What's happening now reflects a silent revolution that has been brewing for years. From the snow-covered slopes of Mount Ararat to the arid valleys near Sinai, a quiet renaissance is unfolding. Biblical archaeology, long dismissed as fringe, has surged back to prominence. New tools have changed the game. Drones that chart the inaccessible. AI that scans ancient manuscripts. LIDAR that peers through forest canopies to reveal hidden structures. High-resolution sonar that uncovers what no human eye could ever see. Together with satellite imagery and digital modeling, these tools are exposing anomalies that challenge secular textbooks. And it's not just about chariots in the sea. Rumors about the Ark of the Covenant have resurfaced, possibly hidden in underground vaults beneath Ethiopia. Dead Sea Scrolls continue yielding fragments that challenge established historiographies. Excavations in Jericho reveal walls that collapsed, not eroded, but fallen suddenly. These truths were always there. We just weren't seeing them. But now we are, equipped with open minds and unbiased technology. Moreover, this quest is no longer driven solely by scholars. It's fueled by believers, explorers, technologists, everyday people with extraordinary curiosity asking, what if the Bible isn't metaphorical, but historical? The borders are blurring. The divide between faith and science may not be as vast as once thought, because truth belongs to no one, and when it emerges, it redefines everything. What more lies beneath? If this discovery is genuine, if those coral formations are what we believe, then what else have we overlooked? What other miracles lie waiting to be rediscovered? What if the plagues of Egypt were not myth, or the manna from heaven, or the sun standing still over Jericho? What if human history isn't incomplete, but simply out of alignment? For centuries, science and faith have been portrayed as enemies, but maybe they aren't. Perhaps they are two lenses viewing the same truth from different angles. Chariot wheels from Pharaoh's army might never make it to a museum. They might deteriorate before anyone can touch them. But that doesn't make them insignificant. It makes them sacred. Because sometimes the most powerful artifacts are not those we hold in our hands, but those that compel us to think, question, and believe. This is not just archaeology. It's how we perceive the past and how we perceive ourselves. History isn't just salt water and coral. It is memory. It is prophecy. It is the confluence of ancient texts and modern discovery. If Pharaoh's wheels indeed rest at the bottom of the Red Sea, this is no mere footnote. It is a divine echo, a thunderclap from history crying out, what was written may very well have been real. So here's a question to leave you with. If the Red Sea contains truth, what other miracles might be real? Was the burning bush more than symbolism? Did fire truly fall on Mount Carmel? Did a single stone topple a giant? History is whispering. Are we ready to listen? If this content made you think, question, or simply awakened a sense of wonder for the hidden marvels of the Bible, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, Secretos Biblicos. Here, we explore ancient mysteries, modern-day evidence, and eternal truths, connecting the past with your present in ways you've never imagined. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next discoveries, findings that just might transform the way you see history, faith, and the world itself. Because maybe what you once thought was just a story was real all along. Subscribe now and join me in uncovering the secrets that time and the earth have tried to bury. Let's rediscover them together.